Hey everybody, meteorologist Scott Connell here in the 5 on Your Side Weather Center. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect right now down to the south of St. Louis. I'm going to throw on a little lightning there. You don't see much, but let's just plot this out and show you. It's basically in the Potosi area, you're really starting to pick up that rain right now and the gusty winds with this. This is a storm that has very heavy rainfall and estimated winds of around 60 miles per hour in old mines as this rolled on through, and it's just marching its way on to the south and to the southeast. Now, this is not in the metro St. Louis area. Again, this storm is well south of St. Louis. But right now, if you're in Potosi, you can expect some intense winds developing as this storm is pushing in between 60 and maybe 65 miles per hour. So the storm's been moving. I'm going to put it in motion here. Over the last hour, it's just kind of surging onto the south. You can see it coming right down Highway 21 here into Potosi. So you should be really seeing those stronger winds now into Potosi. And eventually, if this thing keeps going as fast as it is, about 25, 28 miles per hour to the southeast, this warning may get extended. Now, I want to show you, this is the wind mode here. And the really strong winds with this is our velocity mode. So it shows us the winds because the raindrops in these clouds are being whipped around by the wind, and the radar can detect that and give us an estimate of what the wind is like in the clouds. And because of that, as you go just north here of Potosi, you see you're getting a velocity signal of 66 miles per hour there. Now, that's up in the clouds. But that's where your strongest velocities are. Your strongest winds here are just north of Potosi. And this is approaching Cadet, Missouri on Highway 47. And it's sliding to the southeast. So Mineral Point, you're going to be in the path of that as well. So right around Mudtown. And again, just a few minutes ago up at Old Mines, spotter did report winds around 60 miles per hour gusting with this storm. So don't be surprised if you have some tree branches and get some power outages down this way, especially in this area here from Old Mines going through Cadet and then eventually down to Mineral Point. Now, the winds around Potosi, we're looking at that area that's pushing in towards Potosi. They look like they might be more of the 40 to 50 mile per hour range right now. But as you go just north of Potosi, again, as you're looking in this area here where 47 and 21 kind of meet, you're really looking at some of these intense winds, and we're going to guesstimate here that they're between 60 and 70 miles per hour in these areas right now, although it looks like it may have come down just a little bit on that last scan. But at any rate, this is moving towards Cadet. You do have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now for this area as these strong winds head down towards and just to the east of Potosi. They'll roll along Highway 8. You're getting down into this mineral area here of southeastern and eastern Washington County and western portions of St. Francis County. So as you go west of Bonne Terre, west of Park Hills, that's where you're more likely to see those stronger winds as this storm is surging on in. You can see kind of just how it's rolling in there and kind of bowing out. That's the indication that we have some of those strong gusty winds. No true indication of any spin in that's tight, but we are definitely looking at some pretty intense winds here. Well, let's back the wind scan up a little bit here and see what the last couple of them look like. And you can see, and I'll pull the radar up a little bit closer. You can see how you've got all of a sudden this surge where you really have the wind surging out in this storm. And that looked like it was the worst of it just before it went into Cadet. So right there, right in this area here, Highway 47, where it meets up with Highway 21, that's where it looked like it was the worst a few minutes ago, kind of peaked right there, moving into Happy Hollow, right by State Highway E. And now the strongest winds have moved off to the southeast, and it looks like maybe they've weakened a little bit as they are approaching Cadet. But Old Mines in Washington County had a wind gust estimated by a spotter there of near 60 miles per hour. So that's why there's a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect right now for that area. And again, our severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45 for this portion, western portions of St. Francis County and a good chunk of Washington County. And it's really along this bowing part of the line here that's between Highway 8 and Highway 47 where we have the strongest winds now indicated. And they have weakened a little bit, but those strong winds shown here by that brighter red gusting as that heavy rain pushes in and as the thunderstorm is rolling to the south and southeast. Now, if this storm is going to hold together, it's moving at about 25 miles per hour, maybe a little faster than that. But let's kind of put a track on this. For those of you that may be watching here down to the southeast of that, and I'm not saying it's all going to get right into this area, that everybody in this area that we're highlighting is going to have 60 mile per hour winds, but some of you will probably get 40 to 50 mile per hour winds from Hopewell to Irondale, Leadwood, Gumbo, and Bismarck. Okay, so you are talking about western portions of St. Francis County and a good chunk there of east central and parts of southeast Washington County, and this is in Missouri. So we're on the Missouri side of the river here for Washington County, not Illinois. All right, so we look back at the radar. There's your storms, putting it into motion over the last hour, how they're moving on to the south and southeast. These are the storms that kind of split apart over St. Louis. And when they did, they basically, this is the area that was left that went west and south of the city and has now strengthened and kind of giving its last gasp here with those strong winds. Pop on the winds again and you can see that brighter red there indicating the stronger winds. Now, let's go back up and look into the metro area. We still have showers and thunderstorms sliding in now. These coming at us from the north. This is going to be, I think, our last hurrah of trying to get rain. And, you know, I know some of us have had some pretty heavy rain over the last couple of days. And yesterday we had spots that got a couple of inches in an hour or so. And that created some problems and some flash flooding. So, you know, there's spots where we don't need any rain. Then there's spots where we haven't seen a drop really in the last week and a half. You know, we just finished up 11 days at 90 or above. And so some of us are looking at parched ground and really could use some rain. Now, what we're seeing here as you go from St. Louis and on up to the north, this is just rain, no indication of any significant problems there. But if you look closely, you can almost see a little bit of a spin here. So we do have, you know, a little upper level energy kind of swinging across the region. Front's going to slide on through, and that is going to provide us with the changes that we expect. Now, as we look at the velocity here, this is our wind mode. It's not nearly as what we're looking at down to the south. And so that's why you have that severe thunderstorm warning that's in this area here, especially now from south, generally south of Cadet and into the Hopewell area. Now let's just kind of pinpoint, still showing us some 60 mile per hour winds in there. So pretty good chance. And this is a very heavily wooded area, so a lot of trees down there. So all of this area here that's between Potosi and Bonne Terre, you know, you're talking Pond Creek Road, you're talking State Highway D down here, State Highway U. You're going to find, looks like Champs Estates Drive, can't really see it, it's sideways, but you know, this is the area here just off to the southeast of Mineral Point where you do have those stronger winds being indicated, and potentially here some power outages because of those stronger winds. Anytime you've got the trees, this is why the power companies so often do so much tree trimming, because when you've got a situation where you get 55 or 60 mile per hour winds, you can whip those branches along and tend to blow them into the power lines. Maybe knocks down the power lines, or maybe it just causes some problems, but either way, you got to clean it up, and then you got to get the lines back together so you can get electricity. Now, this is a very localized area. You know, the population here is fairly lightly populated area. But this warning's in effect until 9:45. And if we continue to see it with these winds, if they continue in this area for a while longer, if they're going to hold together and this storm's just not going to let go, then we're going to have the potential here where we could be dealing with, you know, even into Farmington, the potential of some damaging winds, and perhaps even into Bonne Terre. So that's what we're looking at here with this severe thunderstorm warning. So far, we had one report of the stronger winds in and around old mines, and I suspect some of those strongest winds right now are making their way, you know, in that area, what we just said, around Mineral Point, and that's going to be crossing over the St. Francis, Washington County line and headed for Leadwood here shortly. And Leadwood is in the warning. Leadwood is definitely in the warning. So we're still getting that indication that we've got 60, maybe 65 mile per hour winds. Now that's the radar beam at this far out is fairly high. So those winds, those stronger winds, are up off the ground. The other thing we'd watch is as these winds here are kind of surging out, you got to watch to see if there's any rotation that develops in this area. And one would think that at this point that's probably it's too far aloft to be a problem. But, you know, if we see something tightening up in here, it's going to raise our level of concern. But right now, the main concern is the strong winds and the potential for, you know, just blinding rainfall here for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then it'll slide off to the east and to the southeast. Now, if you're in Bonne Terre, you're already getting some rain, which is kind of part of the leading edge, if you will, of this system, and that stretches down into Park Hills, but that's not the main show. That's not where your strong winds are. The strong winds are still back here right along the St. Francis, Washington County line, and they're right here where you're seeing this little area kind of bowing out or nudging forward, if you will. That's the area of greatest concern for us as we go through the next half hour. And honestly, this may go right down along Highway 8, right in towards Park Hills, and if it maintains its strength, then, you know, we still have temperatures that are pretty warm southeast of St. Louis, and it's still somewhat muggy. So the potential is certainly there that, you know, potentially going to cause more gusty winds. We know we're going to get some heavy rainfall. And this is all sliding onto the southeast. So don't be surprised. Let's see. Yeah, don't be surprised if they extend the severe thunderstorm warning here and drag it a little farther to the south and east. I would not at all be surprised by that. Again, at the moment, it's this area east and southeast of Potosi and the area west of Bonne Terre and down towards Leadwood where this storm is pushing in, and towards Ironton too. And then you've got more storms that are gathering here a little farther to the south. Now we put on our velocity mode, which is, this is the wind mode of the Doppler radar. It allows us to estimate where these stronger winds are in these thunderstorms. And you can see that, you know, those brighter reds are right along the Washington and St. Francis County lines. And really it's between Highway 8 as you make your way out of Leadwood over towards Potosi, and then southeast of Cadet and west of Bonne Terre, in this area kind of east of Mineral Point right now. This is where, and I'll pull this up for you. Looks like there's a pretty nice little subdivision here, Notre Dame Drive and St. Francis Road, right on the St. Francis Washington County line. So that area more likely at this point to be the area seeing the stronger winds, which could be upwards of 60 miles per hour. And again, this is not in the metro St. Louis area. This is all far to the south. This is off to the west of Bonne Terre. There is a new severe thunderstorm warning that is coming. I got it updated here, but it basically, and I don't know if it's updated in our system, it does not look like, well, they just kind of trimmed up the northern part of it. So they've trimmed up the northern part of it for now. But I suspect you're going to see this extended, perhaps just a little farther east towards Park Hills and perhaps to include Farmington. You just watch how this is moving. Those strong winds are kind of hanging tough here. Just where we zoomed in a few minutes ago in that area east of Mineral Point that had to look like a nice little subdivision there. So we're going a little bit tighter, and that's the area that really looks like it's getting the strong winds right now, or has been over the last 5 minutes. And again, this is just off to the west of Bonne Terre. So that's coming into St. Francis County. Leadwood, down towards Irondale. This is where we're anticipating those strong winds making it. You can see how it's moving. They're almost moving to the south, and the storms are actually tending to merge a little bit in here. There's some other storms that are down to the south in Iron County, and it looks like we may be getting a little bit of a merger going on with some of those. But again, that wind is really, looks like it's surging out and approaching the Park Hills area. So that's what we have right now. Severe thunderstorm warning for this area in far western portions of St. Francis County and eastern portions, now to the southeast of Potosi, eastern portions of Washington County. And that surge of winds now pushing out along Highway 32. But what we're noting there, as it moves on down towards Highway 32, you're talking 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. Now this is, again, up in the clouds, not necessarily at the ground. So when we go up and we look a little farther north, and we were seeing these winds, and there's your new warning, we were seeing these winds that were much stronger. This one's till 10:15 for the rest of Washington County and into St. Francis County, and that will include Farmington. So this is the new severe thunderstorm warning. Does include Farmington, does include Bonne Terre. Winds expected to be around 60 miles per hour. No indication of any hail with this, and torrential rain. Now, what you want to do is you want to be inside, away from windows and doors as this cell is moving on to the south. So just that bright area of red. We did get a report of a 60 mile per hour gust at Old Mines. Okay, as it moved on to the southeast. So now that warning looks like that surge of wind is still continuing to move towards Bismarck and heading down towards Farmington. It may stay just west of Farmington proper, but it's going to be close. Park Hills included in this warning. And one thing you're starting to see here, it kind of shows up here, there is some rotation. Now you would expect to see, it doesn't look tight, but you would expect to see something along those lines in this area here where it's nudging out, because this part of the storm nudging out, and it's almost creating its own circulation, if you will. So just over the last hour, this is how this is plowed on in. Seems to have picked up a little bit of speed here in the last little bit. Broaden it out so you can see. And now that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for most of St. Francis County and the southeast corner of Washington County. And now that is going to run until 10:15. So that means we will be starting the newscast with you here as we go at 10 o'clock. We will be in storm alert. So I'm going to put a couple of things here. Let me do this, because we are going to have to get ready for the 10 o'clock news and make some adjustments in what we had planned, which is simply easy to do. we can certainly take care of that. But I do want to change this over. And I'm going to give you guys at home just a little bit of a different view of the storms as they are moving on in here to the Farmington area. So I'm going to give this to you for a few minutes. Again, wind is the main threat along with heavy rain, but wind is the main threat as these storms roll in. And so that's what you're going to continue to watch here through the course of the next hour or so. Let's see what we got here. And we're going to flip that over to all right. Well, that's not what we wanted. Okay. Go back. Whoops. Let me flip you back over here. All right, we don't want that. We want this. Actually, we want that. So strong storms, severe thunderstorm warning, continuing here down into St. Francis County, especially just west of Bonne Terre. This is a wind maker, and it is headed towards Farmington, especially the west side of Farmington. It seems to be the area that you most likely would end up seeing it, based on what we're looking at right now. All right. So I'm going to put this back over. We'll switch you back over and give you that view. And I'm going to work on some stuff for 10 o'clock. So we've had one report of 60-mile-per-hour winds. That was at Old Mines. We were seeing winds gusting close to 60 miles per hour on radar or above. And so as a consequence of that, the National Weather Service has continued the severe thunderstorm warning and now includes most of St. Francis County. It also includes the southeastern corner of Washington County. So a lot of this, you're in the whole mineral area here. You all know that, kind of the old lead belt. And you've got a lot of wooded areas down here, a lot of trees. So the potential is certainly there that we could be seeing problems associated with that as we head through the next hour or so. So 10:15 is when that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect till.